What is up, guys? It is 8:59 a.m. Pacific. We are going to be getting started in around 2 minutes or so. So 2-minute warning. We're going to go ahead and kick this off. Thanks everyone for joining Discoverr. We're going to be getting started in around 1 minute or so, 1 minute, and we'll go ahead and get this rolling. Just waiting for everyone to get joined. Got quite a few people join last minute. Just want to give them some time to get into the session. All right, guys, welcome to Discoverr. We are so excited to have everyone here, at least virtually. We were obviously at the beginning of the year hoping to do this in person, but glad we can get a way to do this online virtually. And this is for our first ever conference, guys. So really excited about this. Hoping this is going to give you guys a great opportunity to learn about some of the opportunities about selling multi-channel, and talk about some of the new announcements coming on the Deliverr end to help you guys really prepare for what's going to be a pretty wild Q4. So with that, let's jump into it. So in this session, this is the opening session. You have myself, I'm Michael. I'm one of the founders here at Deliverr. We also have my good friend, Joe. He's from Marketplace Pulse. Marketplace Pulse is an amazing analyst with all the different marketplaces going on, the different trends. He's going to share some really sweet data for us at the end of this session. So in terms of the schedule overview, we have a packed 2 days. And again, remember, it's over 2 different days, 6 sessions. So we have 3 sessions today. We've got another 3 sessions tomorrow. And each session is going to have a unique link to join. So it's a little bit different from some other virtual conferences due to some of the limitations with this webinar software. And so make sure to look at your email to join the next few sessions. So after this, we're going to have Walmart talking about some of the new programs they have, some of the results they've seen in the wake of COVID. And then after, you're going to see myself again with the Wish team. We're going to announce a new program that's going live between Wish and Deliverr. Tomorrow, we're going to have Casey Goss and Chad Rubin here talking about how to find winning products and gaps in the market, followed by a session on Shopify and running and optimizing ads for your Shopify store, which is a big question we get from a lot of our sellers today. And then followed at the end, we're going to have a Google session where we're going to talk about Google Shopping, and we're going to have Channel Advisor, the head of their Google Shopping advertising arm, which is one of the biggest Google Shopping advertisers in the United States today, talking about what works, what they've seen do well, and how to optimize your Google Shopping business. So 6 total sessions. We're in the first one today. Make sure to look at your email to get into the other sessions. If you're lost, email Rachel at Deliverr. Rachel is the mastermind behind the whole conference. Or you can live chat us. We will redirect you to where it is you have to go. Keep in mind, there are a lot of sellers registered for this, so we're trying to move you guys in the right direction as quickly as possible. So try to get in contact with us. We will tell you where to go next so you do not feel lost, whether it's live chat or email. Okay, now let's get into the conference. State of e-commerce and COVID. Really interesting stuff. We've talked a lot about this in our weekly Q&As. And pretty clear trend here when you look at the numbers here. In 2020, and this is from eMarketer, e-commerce sales are projected to climb by 18% to reach over $700 billion. And that's going to represent around 14.5% of total US retail sales. So before COVID, e-commerce as a percentage of total retail sales sat around 11%. And I talked last year that I was expecting 2020 to decline the biggest amount, but I was predicting around 12, 13%. Was never expecting 14.5, 15, maybe even 16% what we might see this year. And that is coupled with what's also an extraordinary change and movement in the market, where total US retail sales, and that includes auto and fuel, is going to drop by 10.5% in 2020 to less than 5 trillion. And so you have this collapse of physical retail with COVID, with all the closures and shutdowns, coupled with this explosion in e-commerce, creating this scenario where more buyers are coming online than ever before. And that's why this conference, I think, is so important today, and more important today than what it would ever have been, because you're having so many buyers coming online. They're going to so many different channels to transact. They're discovering your products in so many different places. And you want to make sure you're taking advantage, you're capturing the level of traffic that's coming in right now. And the key theme with this conference, if you take away anything, is going to be about multi-channel. And we're hoping to really shed some light on some of the common misconceptions with going multi-channel and selling on a lot of different places. And so if you don't sell on multi-channel, you're making a mistake. And here's some of the reasons why. We're actually gonna start with one of our sellers, WellPath. And so WellPath was co-founded by Nick and Colin. These are two very experienced Amazon sellers, and they built what is a modern supplements brand. They have this beautiful packaging. You can see they have sleep supplements, they have weight loss supplements, they have apple cider vinegar gummies, turmeric, and they are an Amazon they were an Amazon primary focus before they joined Deliverr. So Nick and Colin were really experienced Amazon sellers. They knew and loved Amazon, and that was their primary focus before joining and getting started with Deliverr. And so we started with this question, how are buyers discovering WellPath today? And if you're any brand today and you kind of look at your first touch attribution, what is the first place buyers go to? How do they interact with your brand? Typically, you're going to hit one of these 5 what we call discovery platforms. Number 1 being Instagram, 2 Facebook, 3 YouTube, 4 Google, and then 5 is Amazon Direct. And we'll talk a little bit more about what I mean by this discovery platform in the next few slides. So Instagram here, you can see they're running posts on Instagram, on their Instagram page. Here they have Instagram stories. They have different posts there on the left. They have over 100,000 Instagram followers. And here they were actually featured on the homepage of Amazon for Prime Day last year in July. And you can see here that they're advertising or promoting those Amazon listings through this Instagram channel to their most loyal customers. And they do something very similar on their Facebook page. Here you see they have over 100,000 Facebook followers. They're continuing to post about these new products, these new launches, and they're linking back to Amazon. You can see the link there in the bottom right of that screenshot. And then you also have YouTube influencers. That is a huge component of how WellPath drives volume to their channel. And YouTube influencers are similar, going to link back to their Amazon page. And then lastly is Google. Now, they don't spend directly on Google. And I think it's an important distinction to make. But Amazon's going to go and advertise on Google. Here you can see them running ads on text ads. And because this is a new category, or a category that Amazon really wants to expand into, so they're going to run very aggressive Google ads to get on top of what a lot of people in e-commerce say is the most expensive, most valuable real estate, because it's very high intent search. You're going to have very high conversion on this page, and every inch of real estate goes a long way. And then lastly, you're going to have Amazon Direct. So you're going to have 100 million plus Prime buyers. They're going to Amazon every time they think about buying something new, or they want to shop very passively. And here you can see on a competitive keyword, apple cider gummies, they're ranking #1 organic with Amazon's choice. So we created at Deliverr this notion of a commerce graph. And a commerce graph includes 4 different layers today. So you have buyers, discovery platforms like we just talked about, sales channels, and fulfillment services. And a graph talks about the interaction between different elements. And so a commerce graph is talking about for an item, and let's focus on those apple cider vinegar gummies that WellPath sells. How do these different layers of this graph interact with one another? And so here you see these different channels: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google, and Amazon Direct, and all of that is funneling to the Amazon channel where they actually transact and the buyer purchases, and then all that is getting fulfilled through FBA. And this was their model before Deliverr, right? And this is a very common model. If you're an Amazon seller today, you're probably very familiar with this model. It makes a lot of sense, and it's something that you've known and grown up to run. Now, in late 2019, they decided to go multi-channel. So they decided to use Deliverr, and we start with 2 different approaches. So they launched their own website, gowellpath.com. You see this beautiful website. It's hosted by Shopify. So they start building out that channel for very loyal customers. And they also get listed on Walmart. So here you can see they get access to free 2-day delivery through Deliverr. And they add these 2 different channels. Now, just adding these 2 channels changes the interactions within this commerce graph tremendously. Where now you have the same discovery platforms as before. Remember, those are very difficult to change, right? But the sales channel elements change quite a bit, right? We mentioned they own their own website, they bring their own website, they get on Walmart, and you can see how now that discovery traffic, that referral traffic, instead of it all going to Amazon, is now going and getting siphoned off to these different channels. And so, for example, their website, you can see Instagram, Facebook traffic siloing out and getting directed to their website. You can see that Google shopping traffic actually rotating between Amazon, their own website, and Walmart. And we'll show what those interactions really look like as these sales channels start picking off more and more of this discovery traffic. So here, if we look at Instagram, they start, you see their Instagram page, and they start running really aggressive Instagram ads on this audience. And when you run it with your own website versus with Amazon, you have full end-to-end event tracking. So Shopify and Instagram and Facebook have built out this platform that pre-builds end-to-end event tracking. You can understand where's every friction point in the funnel, so you know how to optimize things, and you can scale up spend really, really quickly. So here they're running sponsored posts, and then here's an example, screenshot from a buyer, and I go and I swipe up, and deep linked within that flow, I'm going to wellpathimmune.com, where I can go and transact on that item. So it's going to improve their conversion rates quite a bit, but also give them that level of visibility where they can go and scale their ad spend very effectively and build this into a big channel. So remember, when we're going back to that commerce graph, you see that Instagram and that Facebook volume funneling into their website, and this is showing that interaction right now. The second one, remember we talked about Google having the most highest value, most primed real estate in e-commerce right now. Apple cider vinegar gummies, high intent search. You want to be in front of this every chance you get. You can see one of their big competitors here, Goalie Nutrition, right? And so Amazon ad, we talked about that. But then when they list on Walmart, what does Walmart do? So again, WellPath isn't technically spending on ads on Google. Amazon's spending ads on Google, but then also Walmart is taking that listing and they're running shopping ads on that keyword for WellPath, because Walmart wants to drive volume and they want to build up that category, very similar to Amazon. So WellPath is getting a lot of exposure on a very, very competitive and very high intent keyword that they wouldn't have otherwise gotten exposure to. And if you look at like their competitor Goalie Nutrition is doing something very similar with Target, and then they're doing that with their own website. But they went from, in WellPath's case, just one search, one result on this very competitive search to 2 results. And so now, if I'm a buyer and I'm searching this and I see them multiple times or just once, I'm going to have more trust for that WellPath brand. And that leads into this piece, which is one of the biggest common misconception with multi-channel is that adding new channels just takes away from other channels and the net doesn't get bigger. But what we've seen time and time again is that the pie actually grows in size. Now, you might take volume from different channels and it might move around a little bit more dynamically than before, but the overall slice of the pie is getting bigger. And that's for these two reasons. Number one is that you're getting in front of more buyers, right? So each sales channel has a different tactic to target a discovery platform. And they're doing different things. They have different strategies. Like, for example, here, Walmart tries to get in front of that Google audience via a Google shopping ad, but Amazon tries to do it via a text ad. So you're getting in front of more buyers. Number two, and again, you can look back at that example with Google, is that for the same buyers, you're increasing awareness. Now, before, where you just showed up once on that Amazon ad, you're showing up twice with an Amazon ad and a Walmart ad. And the more and more channels you get in front of, those channels are going to go and market those products. Or in certain cases, if it's your own website, you're going to have to market it yourself. And you're going to increase buyer awareness, and that's going to really help drive more volume. So you see this exponential growth with WellPath as they went from late last year into the new year. Now, of course, COVID did impact this to an extent, but you see this growth while their Amazon growth is continuing to be very, very strong. And so if you look at what's next for WellPath, what are those next few steps, right? And this is kind of the future commerce graph. And each commerce graph is unique to your brand. It's actually unique to an item. But if we're looking at that specific item, those apple cider vinegar gummies, what you have, or you're going to have, again, the same discovery platforms as before. Those are very difficult to change. But what you're starting to see is that, remember we talked about Facebook and Instagram being a huge place where their buyers live. And so what are the other ways that you can target that audience for them, right? 100,000 Instagram followers, 100,000 Facebook followers. How do you really get after it? And here you have this huge announcement by Instagram and Facebook, their Shops product, where buyers can now transact on Instagram and Facebook and no longer get redirected to your site. So we talked about how when they moved from redirecting to Amazon to redirecting to their website, and that gave them much better funnel tracking. And then here's the next iteration. For certain buyers, they're not even going to want to be redirected off of the Facebook and Instagram platform. They can just transact on Instagram and Facebook. Now, more loyal buyers, like their Instagram and Facebook followers, may want to go and get redirected to their website where they have bundles and they have subscriptions. But for first-time users, they might just want to transact on Facebook and Instagram. And so again, it's enabling you to target and capture more of that buyer base that sits in Instagram and Facebook. So Instagram and Facebook Shops, huge channel for them as we look into 2020, late 2020, early 2021. The other one, which is very similar, which is Buy on Google. Buy on Google had a lot of announcements the past few weeks going to zero commission, really trying to increase traffic on those listings. And you're going to have something very similar when we look at that Google traffic, not wanting to be referred to Amazon or Walmart, wanting to stay entirely on that Google platform and not get redirected. And that makes a lot of sense for them as well, because we talked about, especially with supplements, is very unique in that Google, Instagram, Facebook are all very equally, very strong channels in terms of performance and attribution for these guys. And so that's in terms of near term on the sales channel basis. And you can see how that's diversifying more things, it's sending traffic more ways, but the overall pie is getting bigger. And then, of course, the last piece, all of it funneling in and getting fulfilled by Deliverr. And of course, even using Deliverr as a backup for Amazon. And we'll talk about why that element is also important in the next few slides. And so what does the WellPath story tell us, right? And I think it's really three things. Number one is that you want to identify where buyers discover your products. And brands do this differently, and actually you want this built out for each individual SKU that you sell. And very typically you're going to see the following platforms. You're going to see Amazon, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google. You're going to see me talk about this a million different times because these are the key channels or key platforms, discovery platforms that people are going to go on before they discover your service. Now you might do this through surveys with your buyers. How did you find out about my product? You might do this quantitatively through first touch attribution for any more technical marketers out there. That's something you can pull a lot of times out of something like a Google Analytics type deal. Or you might just do this qualitatively, saying, okay, I think this is where people are going to find out about my product. If it's aspirational, Facebook and Instagram make a lot of sense. If it's more basic utility type product, Google Shopping makes a lot of sense. But of course, you're going to have items like supplements that are going to work kind of across the board, across these different places. And so that leads to number 2. So if you don't have an understanding around number 1, number 2 is going to be very difficult. But if you have an understanding around number 1, then number 2 is saturate those discovery platforms as much as possible with different sales channels. Each sales channel has a different relationship with a discovery platform. And that's really important to understand. The way that Walmart pulls Google traffic is very different from the way that Amazon pulls Google traffic, which is very different from the way Buy on Google pulls Google traffic, right? And understanding that relationship is going to be really critical to how you're going to target that traffic on discovery platforms. And so here you can see a few of these different sales channels. Wish is the #1 Facebook advertiser in the world. eBay, huge Google Shopping spender. And then you're going to have channels where you're going to have to advertise yourself, like Instagram Shops, Facebook Shops, your own website. Those are sales channels where you actually have to advertise yourself versus benefiting on Wish or eBay or Walmart advertising for you, but they don't come with that 15% transaction fee. So each sales channel has a different relationship with the discovery platform. But also understand, and you can use these charts, we'll share these charts with everyone, that they help pick off more and more of that discovery traffic. There's a reason why these sales channels are so successful, and they have strategies to pick off that volume from the discovery platforms. But you want to make sure you are saturating those discovery platforms as much as humanly possible. And then third, and this is where more Deliverr comes in, or however you want to do that, even if you want to fulfill yourself, you want to make sure delivery speeds and price are consistent across channels to prevent what we call as leakage. And leakage is the most painful thing as a marketer today. And so here you see FBA and Deliverr. And so FBA and Deliverr are going to come in at very similar shipping speeds, right? And so you can offer free 2-day, free next-day delivery across every single channel. But let's say in the event, in the scenario where you're using FBA for Amazon, but you're shipping yourself on your own website. So now let's say you start running Instagram ads, linking back to your own website, but you have paid 7-day shipping on your website. What you're going to see happen, and this happens super, super common, right, with website merchants, is that a buyer is going to come to your website. They're going to add the item to cart, and then they're going to see that shipping speed. And what you're going to see is they're going to leave the session. And then what they're going to do is they're going to look up the item on Amazon. They're going to purchase on Amazon. And then what's happened ultimately is that you've paid for the ad to acquire that user. You've already acquired that user, and then you're paying Amazon 15% transaction fee on top of that, just because your shipping speeds and fulfillment speeds aren't consistent across the board. And that's where you start paying twice for customer acquisition. And that's where your LTV to CAC ratio for more technical marketers goes less than 1. And that's not a profitable business, right? And so you want to minimize leakage. It is the most painful thing that happens when you try to go multi-channel, when your prices, your shipping speeds don't match, and it creates that very odd skewed behavior where you actually, in that event, you don't really understand how strong each channel and discovery platform is doing. And so again, with something like a Deliverr, or if you're able to do this yourself and offer free 2-day delivery and next-day delivery across any channel, you can create that consistency so you can really make that pie bigger like WellPath versus paying twice to acquire users and skewing volume like mentioned before. And so if you take 3 things away from this session and 3 things away from that WellPath story, here's what they would be. And here's a way you can test this out. If you're like, okay, this all makes sense and it kind of sounds good at a high level, but I don't really even understand how I would do this myself, right? Well, try this. Number 1, identify a discovery platform that you think is a key driver of traffic. And so let's just start with, Amazon or Walmart or Amazon or Google or Instagram or Facebook. One of those 5 discovery platforms we talked about. So pick one. And then using kind of this graph which talks about the relationship between these discovery platforms and sales channels, add just 1 more sales channel to target that platform. It just needs to be 1. You don't need to add 50. Just add 1 sales channel to target that platform and follow that commerce graph because we have an understanding around how they interact with each other. So let's say you think, okay, Facebook and Instagram is a big discovery platform for your audience because you have a very, let's say, aspirational bracelet type product. So do that, spin up a Shopify store, run some ads, and measure sales results. And make sure the shipping speed is consistent so you don't get that warped result. And in more cases than not, you're actually going to see volume come from that channel, and you're going to see that it doesn't take away from the other channels. You're actually going to get net new volume because of those two reasons. You're getting in front of more buyers, and for the same buyers, you're increasing awareness. And so try that out next week, 2 weeks, whatever it is. And I'm pretty confident you're going to see results. And in more cases than not, you actually do see results. And we've done this with hundreds and hundreds of sellers over the past few months. And so now let's get into the Deliverr side. So what are we doing to help you accelerate this? Because what we talked about definitely makes a lot of sense, but what is Deliverr doing to kind of help put you in a position to accelerate your business and to fulfill kind of this multi-channel excellence that we talked about with brands like WellPath? And so the first one is Google Shopping. So we talked about this. We actually officially announced this 2 weeks ago. We're a pilot partner with Google Shopping, and this product is really, really exciting. So we talked about Google being some of the most highly coveted real estate because it's such high intent traffic. It converts so aggressively and so strongly. You want to be doing everything in your power if you are going to spend those big bucks to rank for really expensive keywords on Google. You want to make sure you're putting your listing in the best possible position to convert. And so here you can see they are adding these free 2-day and free 1-day. It also works with next day. Remember, Deliverr offers free next day delivery to around 40% of the country, 2-day delivery to around 85, 90%. It'll soon be 100% once carrier times improve. And so you're showing these badges. You can see this badge kind of sitting right below the image, right above the text. Very similar, if you understand like the pickup from store badges that Google Shopping has. So a customer is going to search for a product. You're going to see this free 2-day, free 1-day badge on the PLA. This is what they're called, Google PLAs. A customer is then going to click on that ad. They're going to go to your website, and this plugs in with our Shopify 2-day product very seamlessly. You don't need to work on any wiring. It's going to show, if showing free 2-day on the PLA, it's going to show free 2-day on your website. Then someone's going to check out for your site, and then we're going to go and fulfill the order. We also made this work with Buy on Google. So that was another channel we talked about. If you remember when we were talking about what's next for WellPath, users on Google are not going to always want to get redirected. They're going to want to stay within Google Shopping. So we think that this is going to be a big piece of how traffic goes. Again, it's not going to be the only way. Buyers are going to want to go and get redirected to Amazon and Walmart, but this will be one of the avenues that they're going to take, and especially for first-time buyers. And so here, a customer is going to find your item on a Buy on Google listing, whether it's through a similar PLA or they're going to go to shopping.google.com. And then they're going to go to a Google listing, and this is what a Buy on Google listing looks like. It's very seamless. You're within that Google property, remember. You're not getting redirected. And they're going to see free 2-day or free 1-day delivery on the Buy on Google listing. So extraordinarily high conversion here. And then we're going to check out, and then that's it. And so really cool with Buy on Google, they're actually moving to a 0% commission model within the next month or so, and they announced that last week. So a lot of really cool things happening with Google Shopping. Really excited to see sellers use this feature. We've had sellers using this for the past few weeks and have seen some really good results. So those are the two ways. You can link those PLAs back to your website, or you can have them transact on Google. If you think Google is a really big channel for you and is one of those discovery platforms, I recommend opting into both because, again, more sales channels targeting those discovery platforms can only help. It does not hurt. Next one. This one we are really excited to talk about. We have not talked at all about this one publicly. We've been quite quiet about this one, really excited about this. Facebook and Instagram. So we talked about Facebook and Instagram being a huge discovery platform for brands, especially if you're more aspirational products like bracelets, even with certain supplements. Huge channel, incredible engagement, And so we were thinking, how can we put our sellers in the best potential opportunity to capture that Facebook and Instagram traffic? And so we are building, and we have released, now if you go into your Deliverr account, or if you go on the Deliverr website, this is now live across all Deliverr sellers, 2-day and next day badging that gets put on your Instagram and Facebook ads, so they can help convert better. So we talked about with Google putting a 2-day and next day promise on the Google ad, and that helps you stand out. And we're doing something very similar with Facebook and Instagram. And so this is going to be a very similar type product where you're going to see these 2-day and next day ads populate on a Facebook ad, and Instagram's coming very shortly. It's in beta right now. A user's going to click on that ad, they're going to get redirected to your website, and then Deliverr is going to go and fulfill that order to the end user. And so here you can see in this kind of small, this area right below the image, we're going to populate 2-day or next day delivery based on the real-time positioning of inventory across the country. And so again, 40% getting next day delivery, over 80–90% seeing 2-day delivery. You're really bringing that Amazon Prime-like experience to someone's Facebook and Instagram feed, which is pretty incredible and really powerful tool, especially when you're looking at what we talked about, capturing more buyers, and for the same buyers, increasing awareness. Remember those two things, really important theme to get to remember. So we're really excited about this program. And then also on the image, and if you go to our website, brands, some of our beta brands were customizing this. They were showing free next day on the image and showing these really beautiful ads. And they could customize that creative because we create the ad sets in your Facebook business account. And we upload those zip codes. And we upload the zip codes where it's showing 2-day, next day delivery dynamically. So you don't even have to worry about that. We put the badge and text below, but the creative is up to you. And you can put whatever creative you want. And so the conversion on this program has been truly tremendous. It has been, when showing 2-day delivery on these ads, over 50% reduction in CPA. And for people who aren't aware, CPA is cost per action. So it's, in this case, it's cost per purchase. So how much advertising, how much spend are you putting in to get someone to purchase your item? And on average, for the merchants who've gone to this program, we've had a handful of merchants come to this program earlier. They've seen a 50% reduction in CPA when putting 2-day badging on their ads in Facebook, right? When opting into this program. On next day delivery, 62% plus, but we think this can hit well over 60% and get to the 70% range. And if you look at optimizing your ad spend, typically, a 5%, 10% reduction is a huge improvement, and is something that people are like, wow, I got a 10% reduction in my CPA. It's incredible. Here we're adding such a massive infrastructure improvement to these ads, where you're not even seeing a 5 or 10%, you're blowing it out of the water. And not a single seller in this program has not seen their CPA reduce. So the CPA reduction has been massive, and you've seen it consistently. Certain verticals like CPG, it's been beyond these numbers. Other verticals like apparel, it's a little bit trickier, but you still see at least 20% reduction in CPA. It's been pretty incredible. So here we talk about why Fast Fulfillment improves ad efficiency. And the biggest worry we get, the biggest objection we get from brands is, oh man, I don't know why I should pay for fast shipping on my website. They're already coming to my website. Why does it make sense, right? So here we show a protein powder item. And if you guys are familiar with their website, it's a typical protein powder. It's 1.25 pounds, 6x5x4. It's around $40 asking price. And so the standard shipping cost for this item is $5.95. The 2-day cost is $8.31, and the next day cost is $8.31. Because remember, you get next day delivery at no extra charge with the Deliverr program. So our 2-day rates are actually, though we don't talk about it a whole lot, it's actually a blended 2-day and next day rate. And so typically, the seller's like, whoa, going from $5.95 to $8.31, I can't afford that. But when you look at it and you blend it with the advertising spend, 2-day and next day improves the efficiency to a level where it actually makes financial sense to move into 2-day next day delivery. You actually cannot afford not to do this, right? So here you see the CPA, and this is very common, right? You have $5.95 with paid standard shipping, and the CPA is at $20 for the site, right? So listed price of $40. So the total, if you add fulfillment spend and marketing spend, is going to be $25.95. And again, sellers never really, common misconceptions that you don't look at this in aggregate. You just look at the fulfillment side, you get caught up there, but you want to look at it together, fulfillment and marketing spend. Then you see with Deliverr 2-day, you go up to $831, but the CPA drops tremendously from 20 to 10. Remember, we see 50% reduction in CPA. And then next day, you're going even further with the same fulfillment cost from $10 to $760, right, with a 62% reduction. And so with Deliverr next day, Deliverr 2-day, aggregate fulfillment and marketing, you're paying much less than you were before. And so that's the way to think about this. And that's where you've seen brands really be able to scale up their ad spend because they're actually saving money, even though they're spending more on fulfillment. And so with that, we asked ourselves, how do we help sellers accelerate this, right? You're getting better business efficiency. You're able to spend more ads. And so that's where we found this tremendous partner, Clearbank. And Clearbank has funded, and they'll fund you and give you funding within a day based on your business efficiency, so based on your CPA. So if your CPA improves, if you show better efficiency, you can get more capital from Clearbank. And then similarly, you can take that capital from Clearbank and you can put more items on 2-day and next day, and then you see this positive feedback loop, right? And so we're getting and announcing a partnership with Clearbank today, and you can now get a 10% discount on any of their financing when you come in and you're using Deliverr for 2-day. So we're really excited about this. Clearbank will help you guys scale this program tremendously and give you that capital automatically. You don't even have to talk to anyone. You just sync your Facebook account, you sync your Shopify account, and then right away you're getting more cash. So when you see lower CPAs on this program, you can go to Clearbank, you can add more cash very, very, very quickly. So we're super excited about this program. It's going to help you guys scale. And also another thing Clearbank can do is they can connect you to ad agencies that can help you scale that. If you don't feel comfortable and you're not sure exactly how to do this, they can connect you with the right people to do that. And Deliverr ourselves, we will be getting a list of preferred ad agencies for you guys as well, because that is a super common question that comes up. But again, really excited about this. If you guys think Facebook and Instagram is a big target for your user base, come in, opt into this program. You're going to see results. Really excited about this program. You can opt in today on the Facebook side. You can see this on the website. It's live in Seller Portal as of 30 minutes ago. So really excited about that. Lastly, Wish, #1 most downloaded shopping app in the world. So really exciting channel, pretty incredible. Even the last 3 months with everything going on with COVID, they've continuously been the #1 most downloaded shopping app. Their growth usage is incredible. I'll be talking with the Wish team later today about this program. We are launching 2-day delivery with Wish. We are super excited about this program. We've seen over a 23% lift in sales when adding this badge to listings. We think this is going to grow even more. As we add more listings, we're going to create more network effects with the Wish buyer base. Really incredible growth on this channel right now. And so this is exclusive to Deliverr sellers, 2-day badging, and you can see it. It's showing on search. It's showing on the PDP. It's showing across checkout. It's been an incredible program, and we'll be talking more about it later in the day. But definitely something, if you're using Deliverr already, super easy to opt in. You can get started in around 30 minutes. This is now live in every single Deliverr account of this morning. You can see this on the website if you want to look and understand certain case studies. And we will be live with the Wish team later today talking about this. Really exciting program, insane amount of growth here. And so I'm really pumped to be getting this going and get this scaled for what will be a wild Q4. So with that, we have a few promotions. So for every single Deliverr seller, we want you to try these sales channels. Remember, I gave you guys some homework, right? 3 things. Go and pick a discovery tool. Pick a sales channel that goes after that discovery tool, and then measure results. And so we want to make it really easy for you guys to do this. And so if you add a new sales channel that you haven't otherwise done with Deliverr, we're going to take and waive the order fees for the first 10 orders. So we'll credit this back to your account. And this applies to orders before September 15th. So it has to be a channel that Deliverr hasn't seen orders on before. And we're going to do this for every single Deliverr seller. So we want you guys to experiment. More shoppers are coming online than ever before. We have all these new programs for you guys to explore and try out. And we want you guys to try it out. And then with that, we're going to get into the prize time. So we have $15,000 in prizes to give out to Deliverr sellers. Each prize, it's going to be divided around 6 different prizes. We're going to give out 1 prize in each session. It's going to go on in the middle of each session. So for you to enter and be eligible for this prize, you're going to have to answer one of our polls. So it looks like we're already getting answers. So we have unlocked a poll on the right-hand side. We're asking, which channel are you most excited for in this conference? If you answer that poll, you are going to be entered in to what will be a several $1,000 prize, and we're going to announce the winners of each prize at the end of the day, right? So at the end of today, we're going to announce 3 winners. End of tomorrow, we're going to announce 3 winners. It'll take us by the end of the day to tally everything up and to pick a winner. So we have a poll going on right now. I'm going to give you guys another 20 seconds or so to answer that. We're getting a ton of responses. And so we asked, what channel are you most excited for? We listed Walmart, we have Wish, we have Shopify, we have Google. And it looks like right now, most excitement, interestingly, is Google at 41%, but Walmart's coming in really close at 37%. So thanks so much, guys. We'll leave that poll up there for you guys to continue to answer throughout, so you guys can continue to opt in. But and with that, let's get into Marketplace Pulse. So Joe, take it from here.
Thanks, Michael. That was amazing. So first of all, what is Marketplace Pulse? I'm not going to waste too much time because we only have a few minutes left on the talking about what we do as a company. But for all of you, if you're interested in the trends of marketplaces and trying to understand what's happening as the COVID runs through the country, as well as other marketplaces like Walmart and Google are trying to compete with Amazon, we tend to publish a lot of interesting resources on growth and changes in these marketplaces. So if you're trying to understand if the business changes you're seeing on your own company are relative to what everyone else is seeing, we tend to be a pretty good source on that. So anyway, marketplacepulse.com should be a great source for all of you. So I wanted to really talk about really a few core ideas on e-commerce. So obviously, we've all seen the charts of e-commerce growth over the last couple months. Anyone who's selling online has experienced growth in their sales. Anyone who's been stuck at home have been buying a lot more. So we know what's happening both as businesses and as consumers. And it's very clearly that in the last couple of months, we've kind of accelerated e-commerce penetration in a few years. Obviously, the question remains how that's going to look like in 2021 and in the years past that. But at least for now, it's a great time to be in e-commerce. At the same time, it's key to understand how important Amazon has been as an e-commerce player, given that they're close to half of the e-commerce spending, as well as how their struggles in fulfillment have actually created probably more opportunity for everyone else than for Amazon. So if you look at May versus February, and I picked these months specifically because February tends to be the slowest month of the year, and May has become so far the peak month of the year for kind of e-commerce traffic to these major websites. So what you'll find is that kind of these Amazon grew at 25%, which is not that much, and it's, if anything, is a missed opportunity by Amazon to capitalize on this opportunity. But if you start looking down the list of all the Amazon major rivals, you start seeing huge traffic spikes. So, for example, you look at Walmart, it's 50%. You look at Etsy, it's 45%, and then kind of traditional retailers like Home Depot, Target, Lowe's, and Costco even, they're all around 100% growth. So if you have products in other channels, you're probably seeing a much bigger increase in terms of percentage growth than you could see on Amazon, just because of how little actually Amazon has managed to grow over the last couple of months. Unfortunately, this kind of crazy growth has seemed to have stalled, at least for now. So in June, because we already know the June numbers, in June, traffic has already started to decrease across the board, more so in these like large gainers like Target or Wayfair. But across the board, the traffic has started to decline, not to spring levels yet. So we're still seeing huge traffic. So what does it mean? People have started to come back to stores in many of the states, but as if you've been following the news, you realize that case numbers are already rising again. So like it's very clear that by July and August, you'll start seeing growth in e-commerce again. So we basically saw incredible growth leading up to May. We saw a decline in June and probably July as people went back to physical stores. But if the second wave comes back, and if this kind of current trend of COVID cases continues, you will continue to see huge growth for e-commerce overall, and also competing retailers. So the question is, if everyone else is seeing such an incredible growth for traffic, which obviously means customers, why is Amazon not seeing that? And this is probably the most important thing of all the things I can share, is that Amazon's fulfillment struggles, while they appear on the surface to be gone, are actually much more serious and will be heavily important to watch for probably the next couple of years. So one of the things we look at all the time is how many sellers are actually selling out of FBA. And over the last couple of years, the growth of FBA use has been kind of steadily rising because Prime memberships have been rising. So you have this incredible flywheel of more Prime members means more sellers are using FBA. What happened starting March is that, as you've all seen, as if you're a seller on Amazon, is that Amazon started prioritizing essentials, and then they also prioritize essentials in their fulfillment warehouses. As a result, as sellers started selling out on Amazon, their FBA inventory was not getting replenished. So by April and by May and then by June, the number of sellers who actually have most of their inventory stored in FBA is on a continuous decline. And it has somewhat started to recover, I guess now, but some of the sellers I talked to recently already said that inbound shipments in Amazon are getting delayed by weeks. And if we're all celebrating this incredible growth of e-commerce in May and June, just imagine what's going to happen in Q4, how big is going to be e-commerce spending, and how hard it is going to be for Amazon to keep their warehouses running. So basically what this chart is telling is that not only is Amazon struggling to keep its fulfillment operations working, these struggles are meaning that sellers are not necessarily by choice, but they're now finding ways to diversify their inventory into other fulfillment partners. And despite Amazon recovering to some degree and now doing 2-day shipping in most of the country again, there's a good indication that that's not going to last for long. And as Q3 and Q4 comes in with this incredible increase in overall sales, Amazon fulfillment is going to struggle again. So all of this to say, if you're a FBA seller and you're storing your inventory in Amazon and you expect huge sales in Q4, like think how that inventory is going to be actually shipped on time. And if you're ordering more stuff, for example, from China, and you expect it to send it to Amazon in October, it's quite likely that you're not going to be able to do that. So this is important to watch. And these Amazon struggles on fulfillment side, while appear kind of affecting only the sellers, and ultimately most consumers should ideally never experience them, these fulfillment struggles are actually incredibly visible to consumers as well. So one of the metrics we've been tracking as well is how many consumers are actually unhappy on Amazon in total. And that is by looking at the seller reviews actual Amazon third-party sellers receive. And like in May, the Amazon finally reached 1 million negative seller reviews, which is double this, like the usual amount, and double the amount they tend to see in Christmas, which is the usual time of the kind of the spike, as you can see in these kind of two small blips in kind of near January. So Amazon struggles with fulfillment. That reduces prime available inventory, and that also means consumers are increasingly complaining with late deliveries from Amazon as well as third-party sellers. So while Amazon, being as big as they are, is going to have great results, their struggles are actually much more serious than they might appear. And these two little charts are kind of the reason why other retailers are seeing this huge opportunity, and also the reason why sellers should be thinking about diversification. And like, we already know that more fulfillment by Amazon restrictions are coming. Like, Amazon already has announced, I believe 2 weeks ago, that they've basically raised the IPI threshold for sellers, which basically means once you cross that threshold, or I guess once you're below the threshold, you cannot send more inventory to Amazon. So that the threshold over the years has continued to rise. And ultimately, that means less and less sellers are actually allowed to send inventory to Amazon. Again, this is I hope it's incredibly obvious, but if you're expecting huge sales in Q4 and you cannot send inventory to Amazon, and if Amazon is your only channel, it's not going to be a great season. So there's going to be more restrictions for Amazon. There's going to be more limits on quality from Amazon, because while ultimately some of the fulfillment issues, some of the inbound issues they've been able to solve, the inherent ones, which are just huge amount of volume and the limits to how much their housing space they can build, basically means that they're not going to be able to solve it perfectly. So like, think about fulfillment diversification. So because of all this, like, all these other channels are seeing incredible growth, both in terms of individual sellers seeing their sales growth, and also just overall channel growth. So I picked a few to highlight. One of them obviously being Walmart. Walmart has become an obvious winner in this market because of their grocery the kind of moat. So online grocery has always been one of the slowest growing e-commerce market, kind of e-commerce niches in the US, lagging behind kind of Western European countries and other countries as well. But now, because so many people cannot leave their homes, online grocery has become a huge market. So huge market of online grocery is basically driving people to use Walmart. But because Walmart doesn't only sell groceries, they also sell general merchandise, which most stuff comes from the marketplace sellers. That's creating huge residual traffic for marketplace sellers. So what does that result in? So first of all, Walmart actually just yesterday finally crossed 50,000 sellers, and they've added and they actually doubled since July last year. And they've been accelerating the number of sellers they've been adding over the last couple of months. In July, they're going to add 3 times more sellers than they added in January. So in January, they added, I think, 1,200 sellers. In July this year, they're going to add 3,600 sellers. So sellers are quite clearly diversifying into other marketplaces, and Walmart is becoming their kind of a go-to choice. A lot of these sellers are coming from the Shopify partnership. So Shopify has announced 6 weeks ago that Shopify stores can now easily plug into Walmart, and by plugging into Walmart, they can now sell their products through the Walmart marketplace. So because of that, there's actually now nearly 5,000 new sellers added to Walmart marketplace since the June 15th partnership announcement, and most of them are coming from Shopify. So there's this growth of growth of sellers. Walmart itself is doing incredibly well. So like, for a while, they've been the #1 most downloaded shopping app, at least in the US, at least on the iPhone. They've since traded places with Amazon and all the other all the other shopping apps as well. But they've been doing incredibly well, both in traffic, both in terms of their app use. And this leads to kind of a final point, is that Walmart Online is not what most people expect it to be. Walmart Online is largely the marketplace. Like 90% of assortment on Walmart is from the marketplace. And if you can see this chart over time, that number has only risen. So Walmart itself only has 4 to 5 million products the marketplace itself adds tens of millions of products. So all of these combined means you have incredible growth for Walmart itself, driven by grocery, and you have a catalog which is almost exclusively from the marketplace. So if you're a marketplace seller and you can get into selling a Walmart, you get exposed to a huge increase in traffic, but orders of magnitude less competition than on Amazon. So again, 50 sellers on Walmart, 5 million sellers on Amazon. Wish, Michael kind of alluded to how successful they are, and they've been incredibly successful. Yet China shipping headwinds are going to be a huge issue for them, which is actually a huge benefit for US sellers. So globally, Wish is the #1 downloaded app. We've all seen this. It's to some people it's hard to believe, but Wish is doing really well in terms of app downloads. And if you look at the US, Wish is right up there as well. Again, Wish is huge in all the countries, not just the US. Especially strong in Europe, Brazil, other countries. So in the US, they're like at least in the top 5, tend to be in the top 3 pretty much every month, all the time. And because of all these app downloads, they're getting huge number of new users. But like this is kind of, I think it was missed by most, is that US has actually settled with this organization called UPU, I think Universal Postal Union, that since this July, US is allowed to raise postal rates for packages from China to the US. And some sellers are already reporting that now shipping from China is costing twice as much as we were talking about individual order shipments. And because Wish and Shein, eBay, and all these other major apps rely so much on the Chinese sellers, which ship items directly from China, which are now costing more. If you are a US seller who's shipping from the US, your price competitiveness all of a sudden improves drastically. So this has nothing to do with the pandemic, but it just happened to be that July is a time where shipping from China on demand has become more expensive. Huge boost for US sellers. So Wish is currently 90+% Chinese sellers. If all these sellers all of a sudden have to raise prices, huge opportunity for US sellers. And finally, eBay has become, eBay has been struggling for a while, for many years, with actual growth. So they've, for the last, I believe 8 quarters, they've been struggling to grow, especially in the US, as their kind of core market has been eaten away by the smaller players like Etsy or all the fashion, all the sneaker marketplaces, and their shopping kind of retail market has been eaten away by Amazon. And the next thing you know, pandemic comes, Amazon starts struggling with their fulfillment, and huge sales lift happens on eBay. So actually eBay is reporting their earnings in a couple hours at the end of today, but they've already said that in Q2, they expect nearly 25% growth. And if you look at the chart, it's after quarters and quarters, actually after years of negative growth or very small growth. So I think that's all I had to say. And back to you, Michael.
All right, with 2 minutes to spare, what is next? Thank you so much, guys, for the keynote, for taking the time and learning about these 3 new product announcements, talking a little bit with Joe on some of the industry trends, which have been fascinating in COVID, and we're going to be really interesting when Q4 comes around. As it relates to what is next in the lineup, we have 2 other sessions today. One coming up next, it's at, I think, 11:15. So you have around a 10-minute break, is the fireside chat with Walmart. So we have 2 people here from Walmart. We have Alicia and Sid. We also have a $1 million seller on Walmart, Fernando, and a good friend of mine, speaking with my co-founder, Harish. So that's going to be going on around 15 minutes. So if you don't have the link, if you're not sure, you've lost it in the email, no worries. Email Rachel at Deliverr or live chat us on the website. We will direct you to where it is you need to go. Outside of that, and after the Walmart session, you're going to see Wish session, and then you have 3 more tomorrow. But yes, thanks so much, guys, for joining. We will let you get on to the next session. Don't want to keep you here too long. But thanks, everyone, and we're really excited for the next 2 days. Take care, guys.